Hi everyone, this is Mr. Spinelli. Welcome to round 3 of the Word Masters Challenge. It's hard to believe we're already into April. Welcome to April and welcome to the spring. And today we're going to be talking about words 1 through 12 of round 3. I am going to announce later in the Word Masters Challenge and remind you again that we are going to have a quiz on words 1 through 12 before the break. I want to make sure that before we go away from break, we have these 12 words down pat. I think you'll find that if you review them and if you take advantage of the Quizlet app and if you take advantage of all the resources regarding the words, they're not going to be too difficult to understand and to grasp the meaning of. So your homework that you should be focused on for Wednesday is to pause the video after each word and create a flashcard that has the word on the front, and on the back of it, please make sure that you have the parts of speech, definitions, and an original detailed sentence. These two, the parts and the definitions, you should be copying straight from my notes in this presentation. The original detailed sentence, some of you are forgetting. Please don't make me send you to homework club. Just remember the sentence. And as always, Google Images is sponsoring all of the cool clip art that I'm able to show you through the video. So let's get started. The first word is the word barrage, and I think this is one of the words that you're probably going to notice that you're seeing a lot of. Let's start. It's both a noun and a verb, so make sure you note that it's a noun and a verb. And as a noun, it means an overwhelming, continuous delivery of something. So, for example, Milan Lucic of the Bruins gives a barrage of punches to an opponent during a fight. Or, for example, you may get a barrage of criticism from your teacher and you get a C- on a paper. The verb means to continuously deliver something. For example, the media and paparazzi often barrage celebrities, athletes, politicians. So again, barrage, very similar definitions, both as a noun and a verb. Just think of something that's very overwhelming and continuous. Muffle. Muffle, another one you've probably heard before. It is two parts of speech. Let's first start with a noun. And the noun is anything that softens or prevents sound, or it also means a softened sound. And you can think of, with muffled, the actual mufflers. And the verb version of muffle is to wrap with something to soften or prevent sound. Again, you know, if you muffle your ears, maybe you block your ears if a movie gets too loud, or if you want to keep them warm. It also means to wrap with to keep warm, especially in the face or neck area. So, for example, you may muffle yourself with a scarf or the top of a coat. Volatile is our next word, and volatile is a really great word. It is an adjective, and it basically means two different meanings. So make sure you pay attention to the subtle difference here. The first is threatening to break out into violence, explosive. A volatile situation might be a hockey game where the referee has kind of lost control. Not that that ever happens to me. And you know, he misses one big hit, and before you know it, there's just all sorts of fights going on in there. So that's a volatile situation. Also think of, like, for example, a protest. A protest could become a very explosive, very dangerous situation depending on what's being protested and how the police react to the protest. It also means fleeting or changeable. If you have a volatile personality, it means that your personality or your mood can kind of shift really easily. And a great example of this is our friend, the Hulk. That kind of looks like me when I found out I didn't get any Reese's for Easter. Long story. An airy. An airy is a noun, and it's simply two different meanings, similar idea. As a noun, it means a lofty nest of any large bird, or a house or fortress located high on a hill or mountain. Here's an image of a bald eagle. So again, an airy, lofty nest of any large bird, or a house or fortress located high on a hill or mountain. I also want to use this moment to remind you that you should be pausing after each word to copy down this information as well as writing your own original sentence. Recede. Recede is a verb, and it basically means to withdraw or become more distant. It means to retreat or become more distant. If you look at this picture here, this is an example of an army receding or retreating from a castle. It could also mean sometimes when we talk about kids' behavior, especially when kids are little, we notice that they recede from group activities. So in this case, this girl is kind of receding from other people around her, and teachers and other adults make note of that. It can also mean to withdraw or change an opinion. For example, you may recede your point about who should have been the overall #1 seed in the NCAA tournament after you read a really convincing article by somebody on ESPN.com. You may recede your opinion that Kourtney is the coolest Kardashian after talking to a friend. So recede is almost like to change your mind. Inert is an adjective, and it means inactive or sluggish, having no power of action, motion, or resistance. Something or someone that's inert is just kind of there. And many of us may feel like this with our upcoming April vacation, or even after the long con. Many of you came into classes that afternoon just kind of inert, just kind of done. Skeptic. Skeptic's another word that you've probably heard before. And it's very important that you understand this definition because you're going to hear it a lot out in the world. A skeptic is a noun and an adjective. As a noun, it means someone who questions something that's considered fact, a doubter. So a skeptic is somebody who questions something. So if you're skeptical about something, it means you're not quite convinced that it's real. For example, I'm skeptical. Even though I watch Finding Bigfoot, I am a skeptic when it comes to whether or not Bigfoot really exists. And if you are skeptic, it means questioning or not convinced. Doubting. And you'll notice I put the word skeptical here. Skeptical is just a form of skeptic. And in the adjective, another adjective form of skeptic. And you're going to see that word used a lot in relation to skeptic. And here's just a picture of a little koala bear. And skeptics typically really want to seek evidence, and they're really after proof. So for example, if you told me, hey, Mr. Spinelli, I know I got a C last quarter in English, but I'm really going to try. At first, I might be skeptic. I might be a skeptic, or I might be skeptic and be like, you know what, I'm going to wait and see until I see the evidence to make a decision on that. Incite. Incite's a great word. It's a verb, and it means to stir up, to encourage, or to prompt to action. For example, I think we've already used this picture once before, but the adorable bears, and clearly this guy right here is trying to incite or stir up this guy. Protesters can also incite change. So you'll see this is actually a photo from the UK where they were protesting, I believe it was healthcare reform, and you can tell by the images there that the police are actually kind of inciting a problem. So again, incite is to stir up, to encourage, or to prompt to action. For example, if an easy way to incite a fight in a hockey game is to slash the opposing team's goalie. Or in baseball, an easy way to incite a problem is to start throwing at batters if you're the pitcher. Moderate has quite a few meanings. So I want you to really take your time with this one and make sure that you've got all the steps that you need. Moderate as a noun is someone who is opposed to extreme actions or opinions, especially with religion or politics. So if you're a moderate, you're someone who's kind of easygoing, kind of right in the middle of a lot of things. For example, I consider myself to be a moderate when it comes to homework. I'm not someone who believes you should have it every night, but I also understand that sometimes we have to give it. So I kind of find the middle ground. As an adjective, it means to keep kept within reasonable limits, not extremely intense or excessive. It also means calm or mild. For example, this would be moderate exercise. As you get older, doctors say that, well into your 70s and 80s, you should be doing moderate exercise, such as these people who are just kind of fast walking or power walking along the beach. So that's an example of a moderate activity. And the verb is two. One is to make less violent, severe, or intense. So, for example, Tylenol or any type of aspirin moderates headache pain. It also means to run a discussion or a debate. And you can see here, this gentleman right here is actually moderating this debate on NBC's show Meet the Press, which is a Sunday morning politics show on NBC. Alright, so take a second to make sure that you've paused and you've got all of those down, because we've got a noun, adjective, and a verb for moderate. It's kind of a heavy hitter. Brigade. Brigade is a noun, and it means a large group of people who are organized for a cause. For example, an army or protesters. This is an example of a brigade from the United Kingdom. See their flag right there. This would be another example of a brigade, is the student body at the Quinnipiac University hockey playoff game that happened a couple days ago. And as a verb, it means to group together. So, for example, the protesters brigaded, or it's something that meant they came together for a certain cause. Assuage is a verb, and assuage is a great word that you hear probably a lot in a lot of nonfiction reading, and it means to make milder or less severe, to satisfy, soothe, or calm. For example, it may, if you're feeling guilty about making a mean comment to a friend, it may assuage your guilt if your friend tells you it's okay and that he understood you were just kidding. Again, to use a Tylenol reference, Tylenol assuages headache pain. And our last word for tonight is fanatic, and it is two parts of speech. As an adjective, it means enthusiastic or energetic, and as a noun, it means a person with an extreme enthusiasm. And I think we have no better example of that than March Madness. So you can see all the people that are very almost borderline psychotic, crazy, supporting their team. So again, adjective and noun for fanatic. So I hope that you've taken the time and to pause after each word and create a flashcard that has these items. Make sure that when you come in on Wednesday, you've got the word in the front and the parts of speech, definitions, and an original detailed sentence on the back. Please keep on studying these words and be checking in with the Ning and Edline for the Quizlet link, so you can start practicing on Quizlet as well. Please remember the quiz on words 1 through 12 is Wednesday, April 10th. So next Wednesday, April 10th. Thanks for your time, your hard work, and I will see you tomorrow.